Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star episode number 217 based on novel. So let's start. There were two paths. One was easy while the other much harder. Which one should he choose? Within the tower, Luo Feng, who had his eyes closed before the sacred tablet, revealed a smile. My heart is like a mirror, and I see through all illusions. My heart is like a blade, slicing through all obstacles. Luo Feng had no hesitation, as he very calmly made his decision. If I don't even have the guts to break through a pinnacle-level golden horned beast, there's no need to even mention becoming an absolute being of the universe. To be the true upper echelon of humanity, I believe I can do it. Definitely. Luo Feng was silent. As one that received guidance on mental state training from Thunder God and Hong, he emphasized heavily on the heart. If one didn't even have the guts to challenge this sort of difficulty, he would forever be a nobody. And if one had the guts and confidence even against the hardest of obstacles, then he would constantly push his limits and work towards his goal. Even if he fails in the end, that achievement would be extremely high. Hence, Luo Feng naturally chose the second path, strengthening the internal world with large amounts of metal. Actually, he had long purchased the metal groups required for Sector Lord level. It was obvious, in the depths of his heart, he had long made the decisions he needed. Back then, I was only a normal warrior of Earth. Did anyone even imagine I would become the leader of the Milky Way? Back then, when I entered the universe as the strongest of Earth, did anyone ever imagine that I would become one of the top 10 geniuses of the 1008 Universe Country Genius Competition? Did anyone ever think that I would enter the primal region on my first try? And right now, many actually think I have hopes of becoming an official or emperor-level undying. Yet few dare to imagine that I'd actually reach the level of a universe knight. Luo Feng thought, his eyes gleaming brighter than before. A true warrior had complete faith and confidence. The first step was to dare to dream, and after that it was all about hard work. If one didn't even dare have such a goal, how would he succeed? Internal world. The vast internal world. In the center continent's grassy patch, there was a mountain-like black space beast, and beside it stood the black Mosha Luo Feng. Gold Horn Beast, breakthrough to Sector Lord level. Mosha Clansman, breakthrough to Sector Lord level. With his consciousness pushing, the countless universe crystals that formed the majestic mountain immediately broke apart and became world energy. It was almost like two powerful currents, where one was pouring straight into the golden horned beast body while the other into the Mosha Luo Feng. However, one of the currents was about 10 m thick, and the other was 10 kilometers. Noises came from all over the golden horned beast's body. The body that was strengthened by practicing the nameless manual began to evolve. As it was swallowing large amounts of world energy, it caused its body to grow even bigger. Its scales were much more dense than before, and even formed a translucent layer above the scales. On its forehead, a fifth horn grew out, the other four too began to grow longer. Rumble, the Mosha clansman beside it, had completely turned into a black energy flow. The energy grew thicker and thicker, as one could faintly see through it. Right at the center of it was a resplendent shining life crystal that had space law ripples within it. Rumble. Rumble. The 10 kilometers thick world energy current and the 10-meter thick world energy current stopped simultaneously. The golden horned beast body length had already reached a shocking 100 kilometers. The moment it spreads its wings, it could easily cover any of the super cities of Earth. In a blink of an eye it could fly around the entire planet once. To such an absolute being, the planet was simply too small. The place it lived in was the universe space. Hua hua. That rumbling black energy flow condensed and formed a black-clothed Luo Feng. Sector Lord Golden Horned Beast and Mosha Luo Feng stood in the grass patch. Howl! The beast raised its head and howled, letting out a carefree howl that shook the vast world, announcing its breakthrough into the Sector Lord level. Ha ha! Mosha Luo Feng laughed carefreely as well. Sector Lord level is truly different. Mosha Luo Feng was filled with glee. This Mosha Luo Feng originally had 10 times the amplitude of its fusion with the space laws. But, now that it had evolved to a Sector Lord, being the fastest level with its amplitude, it simply, he already knew training during Sector Lord level was extremely fast. Sector Lord level was the time during which one's powers would soar. Even undyings couldn't compare to Sector Lords. This was also why many choose to stay at Sector Lord level for very long with no rush to break through. Like that time Sector Lord Luo, he had stayed so long at Sector Lord level. However, as his lifespan was reaching its end, breaking through to undying became more and more urgent. Within the vast sacred tablet tower, before that majestic tablet, Luo Feng immediately stood up and opened his eyes. I've broken through to Sector Lord level, and I also have 2 dual world pools. When I unleash the swallowing ability, it'll be much safer than before. Luo Feng thought. The Golden Horned Beast and the Mosha clansmen have reached Sector Lord level 1. From Domain Lord to Sector Lord, the huge evolution in strength is indeed crazy. I'm in no rush to practice the 10,000 soul control technique. After I study this sacred tablet for a month, it would still be okay. I cannot waste this month. It may seem slow, but in truth, the internal world breaking through along with the Golden Horned Beast and Mosha clansman breakthrough didn't even take half a day. Luo Feng once again focused his eyes on the dark green crystal tablet. The majestic tablet had a picture of a huge demon howling. The demon had 2 curved horns, feathered wings and fiery eyes. At first glance, it seemed like a normal demon howling picture. However, on careful examination, one would discover that any of the feathers on its wings, the flames around its eyes, every strand of hair, every vein in its horns, engraving in its armor, had unbelievable amounts of mystery. Rumble. Part of Luo Feng's consciousness was immersed in the picture, another half of it, the Golden Horned Beast and Mosha clansman's consciousness had entered the universe source through the world energy resonation. In the mysterious universe source, the entire core of the primal universe, no one knows how long it has been in existence. They only know that at Sector Lord level, it's the first time their consciousness can enter the source. Feels too good. Half of Luo Feng's consciousness was sucked into the endless land, which was essentially just a grain of sand in the vast cosmos. His consciousness felt a clarity like never before with the gold, wood, water, fire, ground, wind, thunder, light, space and time, all the different types of laws, he felt all of it. The law source too were kept within that mysterious source. When his consciousness arrived within the source, it would be in a state that was incomparably close to the origin laws. As such, the resonance was extremely clear. Even the other wood, water, fire, ground, wind, thunder, light and time laws that he didn't understand before, at this time, it felt as clear as his comprehension of the Gold Lord during his Domain Lord period. Of course, if his comprehension of wood, water, fire etc. were at a clarity level of 100, then his Gold Law clarity would be about 10,000 and his Space Law would be 200,000. How can a Sector Lord not improve fast? The law comprehension is more than 100 times easier than before. Many things I was unable to comprehend at the Universe and Domain Lord levels, after becoming Sector Lord level, I can still train them till I reach the level of law recognition. Luo Feng exclaimed. Sector Lord level truly is the sole heavenly level. World energy was a special creation energy. The Sector Lords used it to create their worlds, and the source, that endless space was an endless space of world energy. Any grain of sand had countless universe crystals. And because world energy was special, it allowed one's consciousness to enter it. The moment one reached undying, their energies would once again undergo change. They would have powerful undying energy, however their consciousness would no longer be able to resonate with that source again. Stronger didn't naturally mean better, what was best was what was suitable. With world energy, one would have the chance to comprehend all sorts of laws. The moment one became undying, they would take trillions of years and yet still be unable to comprehend space laws. One was because the space laws got harder towards the end, at an extreme level. Secondly, an undying's comprehension couldn't compare with a Sector Lord. At Sector Lord level, some absolute geniuses only train for tens of thousands of years and their comprehension can compare to that of an Emperor level undying. However, for a normal undying that constantly breaks through, even 100 million years wouldn't be enough for him to reach Emperor level. This was an advantage. This was the advantage of Sector Lord level. Many with ambition refuse to break through to undying because of this reason. They want to comprehend more laws at Sector Lord level, allowing them to have a stronger foundation, and when they eventually break through, they immediately became official level or even Emperor level undyings. Like that absolute genius Kudai, who was able to defeat an official level undying at Sector Lord level. If he didn't die and broke through to undying, the moment he broke through, he would immediately reach Emperor level. Within the internal world, Mosha Luo Feng sat cross-legged. The complex space engravings within its life crystal rippled constantly, causing Mosha Luo Feng's consciousness to resonate with the space law ripples, as its amplitude rose by tens of times. Blood River Energy. The Golden Horned Beast triggered its energy from the right claw. It swiftly evolved and simultaneously a picture of a beast god head howling appeared, causing its gold origin law clarity to rise by 10 times as well. Its clarity before was 10,000, and the Space Law's clarity was at 200,000. At this time, the Gold Law clarity rose to 100,000 and the Space Law clarity had reached over 20 million, far exceeding that of wood, water, and the others. Wonderful. On one hand, comprehending the Howling Demon's sacred tablet, at the same time using the space and gold laws to compare and contrast, this speed is. Luo Feng could feel that studying this tablet now for one day was akin to his Domain Lord level's 100 years worth of work. Of course, the main thing was that breaking through to Sector Lord level had made his efficiency rise by hundreds of times. Luo Feng was immersed in his study of the sacred tablet. Even when he became thirsty or hungry, he didn't dare waste a second. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, within an old training quarters in the sacred land, Saifan Qi, Kashna, Dylan, and the 5 sector lords all stayed there. His Majesty Luo Feng has already entered the sacred tablet tower to train. You all should go focus on training as well. Only those who know they are stronger than Bei Chuang should come back here and look for him. At the entrance of the quarters, Elder Saifan Qi looked on coldly at the gold horn youths gathered there. Those who are too weak but still want to challenge him, hasn't it been disgraceful enough? He unleashed his undying energy, causing the group of youths to shudder with fear. An emperor-level undying, even in the stronger upper-level tribes, there were usually only 1 or 2 of them. He definitely belonged to the stronger undyings. Why are you still standing there for? Get lost! Elder Saifan Qi roared fiercely. Yes, Elder. The group bowed respectfully and left dissatisfied. The elder watched them leave and couldn't help but shake his head. These youths were all caught up in the previous victories over humanity, they were all too passionate. Compared to humans, our intellect is obviously much lower. The elder exclaimed. The stone life forms and flesh and blood life forms have huge differences, even though our percentage of strong warriors is higher, however in terms of reproduction and intellect, we are much weaker. These youths are all caught up in the hype and completely lost all sense of reasoning. The Gold Horn race was indeed that way. As long as they were passionate about something, they would risk it all. Humanity was different. Humanity had more intellect, even the student-level humans were incredibly wise. Even though the Gold Horn race strong warriors had powerful mental abilities, comparable to a quantum computer, in terms of IQ they were much weaker. They were basically silly with not enough experience, however, those beings that lived for very long were trained by time and naturally grew their intelligence. Elder Saifan Qi. Dylan brought the 5 sector lords over, Mr. Dylan. The elder smiled at him. Sorry to trouble you, every time the groups come over to challenge, you'd have to hold the ground. The black-robed Dylan smiled. During these 20 days, they've never stopped and it's indeed been hard on you. It's my Gold Horn race that has been inconsiderate. The elder shook his head helplessly. We have too many youths, and even though we've ordered for no disturbance, these youths still come without any fear of death. I cannot kill the future of my race too, I can only order them to leave. Sorry for constantly disturbing your training. It's nothing. Dylan shook his head, actually, these challenges are nothing. The elder shook his head, the one I'm worried about is a genius within the race. Who? Dylan asked. Bei Chiu. The elder said solemnly, the genius brothers of the Doyen Palace, the older brother Bei Chiu. His younger brother Bei Chuang is among the top 10 of the Domain Lord level 9 geniuses. Bei Chiu, however, is the undisputed number 1, and his origin law comprehension, according to your human levels, should be at the Heavenly Bridge level 10. Ah? Level 10? Dylan was shocked. From level 9 to 10, that was an extremely hard step. The Domain Lord geniuses of the Primal region in the Virtual Universe Company had a total of 10, of which 9 had passed the 10th level and 1 had passed the 11th. No one expected the Gold Horn race to have such a genius too. The Beiji brothers are ferocious and intrepid, and they are very close brothers. The elder emphasized. After Bei Chuang's defeat, his brother Bei Chiu will definitely rush over here to the sacred city. With his proud and fierce nature, he would definitely challenge Luo Feng. The other challenges are nothing, Bei Chiu however, that's the number 1 Domain Lord level genius here, Dylan frowned. When Luo Feng defeated Bei Chuang earlier, it had already surprised Dylan. Dylan even secretly informed True Yang Emperor of the match. If His Majesty meets Bei Chiu, he would probably lose. Dylan thought, the difference between the 9th and 10th level is very obvious, and his training time has been too short. As the two of them were chatting, they suddenly felt a strong energy. The elder, Dylan, and the 5 sector lords with Kashna turned to look. Sacred Tower. They were all shocked. In the distance, within the majestic over 100 kilometers tall tower, there was an incredible powerful law energy that engulfed the entire area. Gold engravings circulated around and golden light that shot out in all directions. In an instant, the entire gold tower had become incredibly glaring. The powerful law energies made people shudder. The law source is descending. The elder and Dylan exchanged glances with shock. They were very clear on this scene. His Majesty is in the sacred tablet tower. A sector lord shouted with glee behind Dylan. Other than the Guardian, there's only His Majesty Luo Feng within the tower now. The elder's eyes was gleaming too. And now the law source is descending. It's the gold law without a doubt. His Majesty Luo Feng has already been recognized by the gold law. Law recognition. Kashna was shocked. That Luo Feng, his only domain lord level. Dylan watched the distant tower, extremely excited as he nodded and thinking, I have to inform the Grandmaster immediately. Within the sacred land, the strong were as numerous as the clouds. There would frequently be warriors acquiring law recognition. This law source descending was a special scene. The warriors training in this place were already used to it. However, this time it had appeared within the sacred tablet tower. And many knew that only a domain lord level human genius was studying alone within. The human genius has acquired law recognition, so fast, domain lord level 9 and he's already acquired law recognition. Looks like in terms of the gold law, he's already reached an extremely high level. Strong. Many warriors within the sacred land looked up at the majestic gold tower. Within the tower, Luo Feng stood quietly before the dark green tablet, his eyes gazing at the demon howling picture. Rumble. The space about shook. A gold droplet appeared above Luo Feng's head and descended. Drip. The gold droplet landed straight on his head, passing through his body as though it was nothing. After which it landed in his main core and passed right through that too. Finally this gold droplet landed on his origin pearl. The origin pearl was the soul and genetic energy fusion for domain lord level. This was Luo Feng's energy core. And also his soul core. Easily, the gold droplet was absorbed into the pearl, and the pearl had an extra streak of gold. At this time, Luo Feng was officially recognized by the gold laws. On his forehead, a gold blade imprint gradually appeared and this print rippled with power that made people shudder. This was the mark of being recognized by the laws. Simultaneously, a huge gold blade imprint appeared on the forehead of the golden horned beast as well. I didn't expect my gold law comprehension had already reached the level of recognition. Luo Feng revealed a smile. Now that I've acquired recognition, then my consciousness should be able to enter the law ocean. Universe source, it was incomparably mysterious. As one acquires world energy after reaching sector lord level, Luo Feng's consciousness could resonate with that vast land, and after the drop of origin law was absorbed by his soul's consciousness underwent an evolution, and at this time, he felt an incredible change within. It was almost like a mother calling her child. He sent out half of his consciousness swiftly leaving the vast land and heading towards the core. Rumble, the gold ocean was vast and endless. This was the gold origin law source. The entire primal universe, gold origin law source, an endless amount of energies emanated from that ocean. A powerful pressure far exceeding any warrior Luo Feng had ever encountered came from it. Luckily, he had already received the law recognition, and had absorbed a drop of the law itself. Rumble, the powerful waves rose up ferociously. His consciousness was within that drop of origin law, floating within the ocean, constantly searching for comprehension of the gold law. Another part of his consciousness was within the vast land, while the third and final part of his consciousness was focused on studying the sacred tablet. After my consciousness acquired the gold origin law recognition, my gold law comprehension speed now is not any slower than my space laws. Luo Feng looked at the tablet before him, feeling glee within. Getting the law recognition meant that his comprehension had already reached a very high level. 20 days of study, sector lord level study is hundreds of times faster than domain lord level, plus I'm right in front of the sacred tablet. My 1 day's worth now is about 100 years of my domain lord level study. 20 days is close to 2,000 years of domain lord study. Luo Feng exclaimed. And this was simply the difference between sector lord and domain lord. Within the virtual universe company, the primal region sector lord members had the most intense competition. The many generations of genius battles, hero battles, along with the elite absorption throughout the universe etc., countless years of elites gathered in the sector lord level. Yet only a 100 end up in the primal region sector lord level. No wonder they all place so much importance on sector lord level geniuses. A day's worth of study is akin to a domain lord's 1 year's worth. If a sector lord studies for tens of thousands of years, how can the domain lord level genius even compare? Luo Feng thought. And this tablet is just right along the path of gold and space, its benefits are huge to me. Luo Feng stared at the tablet. I still have 10 days, I cannot waste any time. Acquiring the law recognition distracted Luo Feng for a couple of minutes, after which he once again immersed himself into studying the tablet. In an instant, 30 days had already passed. Human, your study time is over, you can come out now. The Guardian's voice boomed in Luo Feng's ears and mind, immediately waking him up. Luo Feng's consciousness swiftly returned from the universe source and law ocean, dragging himself out of the picture of the howling demon. Luo Feng couldn't bear to look away from this majestic dark green sacred tablet. It's a pity that I only had a month. This sacred tablet's effect on me is even better than the 9 universe tablet. Luo Feng thought. The first 7 pictures of the 9 universe tablet were all about space laws, hence it wasn't of much help towards his comprehension of the gold laws, at least far from this sacred tablet. Luo Feng turned and left, following the pathway out. The black armored statue-like guardian stood there, and beside him was a 3-meter-tall huge blade stuck in the ground. A formless pressure engulfed the entire region, making anyone who entered the tower feel its strength. Rumble, the huge door of the tower opened and the light from outside shone in. Luo Feng walked out alone. Your Majesty. Your Majesty Luo Feng. Outside stood Dylan, the 5 sector lords, Sai Fan Chi and Kashna. Luo Feng smiled and nodded at them, after which his expression changed, because there was another huge group of gold horn youths gathered outside and they were all like red-eyed bulls, all staring hard at him. Human Luo Feng, I want to challenge you. Human, accept my challenge. If you have the guts, accept the challenge. All sorts of noises echoed. Luo Feng frowned and walked towards Dylan and the group, communicating, let's first return to the training quarters. Elder Sai Fan Chi, I'm relying on you to deal with this mad group of people. After which Luo Feng brought Dylan and the rest, swiftly leaving the sacred tablet tower. He felt somewhat fatigued at this point. Within the training quarters, Luo Feng and the group pushed through the door and entered. Luo Feng spoke while he walked. Dylan, I'm about to revise and go over my 30 days worth of study before heading to the technique tower to choose a manual. After which, he immediately chose a quiet room to study. His Majesty sure is hard-working. Dylan shook his head and smiled at the scene. Before I reached Undying, I was this hard-working as well. After reaching Undying and acquiring eternal life, one was no longer bound by a lifespan plus, the improvement speed on Undyings was extremely hard and slow as their eternal life. It made Undyings lose motivation and so they stopped being as hardworking as before. Luo Feng sat cross-legged in the room. His eyes were closed as he pondered over the things he hadn't fully grasped about the tablet and began to dissect and go over them. Unknowingly, half a month had passed. Luo Feng opened his eyes and revealed a smile. I've finished my study of the tablet. 30 days of study time, it was akin to his own study at Sector Lord level for 8 years, and close to 3,000 years of that of his Domain Lord level. And from birth till now, Luo Feng wasn't even 300 years old yet. His improvement during these 30 days was huge. It couldn't be helped, the 9 Universe Primal Chaos Tablet's difficulty grew in a totally non-linear fashion. Even though he had comprehended the Raindrop and Drizzle Pictures 36 wonders, the Torrent Pictures 72 drops were more than 100 times harder. Even after these 30 days, it only allowed him to raise his comprehension level to about the level where he could pass the 9th level of the Heavenly Bridge. Comprehending the 108 drops. A normal warrior's comprehension would stop at simply understanding them. This was akin to scoring a 100 on a test. And comprehending the essence of it was akin to getting even all the extra and bonus questions right, getting a score of 150. Even though it was slightly harder and more profound, its difficulty was still over hundreds of times harder. This was also why when True Yang Emperor made Luo Feng study floating blood, he was worried Luo Feng didn't have the capability to do so. Because comprehending the essence was simply too difficult. 30 days worth of time. It was akin to his Domain Lord level's 3,000 years worth of study, allowing Luo Feng to completely understand the third torrent picture, meaning he would get a 100 points on the 72 more profound drops, and finishing it meant he already had the comprehension level to pass the 9th level of the Heavenly Bridge. It's only been 30 days and I've managed to raise my comprehension level from the 7th to the 9th, comprehending the torrent picture. A normal warrior, in theory, would continue on to the next picture, the 4th, however I cannot do so. I have to go through the most profound essence of the 72 drops. During his 30 days of study, he also realized how hard the essence of the 72 drops was. The 1st of September were easy, he had completed them back in Primal Chaos City. The middle 27 were much harder, through Blood River Worlds encounters, raising his study speed and having the Beast God statue to refer to, along with the leader of Tianxia Palace's guidance, he had finally finished them. The last 72 were the hardest. After doing the impossible level mission and studying on Earth for 50 years, as well as the 30 days of study with the sacred tablet, close to 3,000 years of his domain lord level study, he had only reached a 100 points level with the torrent picture, having comprehended none of the essence of the 72 drops. Hard. It was incredibly hard. Normal absolute geniuses, even at sector lord level, would spend their entire 1,000 era lifespans, yet not even comprehending all of the 108 wonders of the space law. Only the true pinnacle super geniuses had the ability to waste so much time doing so. The pinnacle genius back then, Lian Luo, spent 3,000 years studying in Primal Chaos City. In terms of talent, with the Golden Horned Beast triggering the Blood River energy, the space-favored child Moshe clansman, together it probably exceeded the talent of the super genius of humanity Lian Luo. Especially since Luo Feng had the Beast God statue, he could study it at any time to work on the sky-tearing claw. Luo Feng walked out of the room and immediately a few silhouettes flashed past him. Dylan, the 5 sector lords, Elder Sai Fan Chi and Kashna appeared. Your Majesty's study is finished? Dylan smiled. Luo Feng smiled and nodded. Congratulations, Your Majesty. How was your study of the sacred tablet? The elder looked at him. Very good. Luo Feng complimented. It was indeed good. Right now, simply with his law comprehension, he could pass the Heavenly Bridge's 9th level. The moment he completely unleashed his spirit energy amplitude, reaching over 200, his power would rise by over 10 times. If he were to attempt the Heavenly Bridge, he could completely pass even the 10th level. In terms of law comprehension alone, he could pass the 9th. His battle strength, however, could pass even the 10th. The demon note inheritance truly benefited me. Luo Feng complimented within. However, my improvement is too shocking. It's not good for me to attempt the bridge now. Knowing his own improvement was good enough, there was no need to attempt the bridge now, since there was no special benefits from it. Without any benefits, it was best to keep it to himself. Let's go to the Techniques Tower. Luo Feng said. The tower has all of the manual samples of the Gold Horn race, and many of them are unique and unconventional. Even our human treasure trove may not necessarily have some of them. Dylan smiled. Your Majesty should choose wisely. Of course. Luo Feng smiled and nodded. Of course. Wanting to buy a manual within the virtual universe company required huge amounts of points to exchange. Normal manuals go up to 10,000 points, while some valuable ones go for over 1 million and even tens of millions. As for those incredibly valuable ones, even his teacher True Yang Emperor cannot afford them. I have to choose an expensive one. I'll pick from the most expensive. Luo Feng thought. The more expensive, the higher its value, this was without a doubt. Picking one suitable for himself from the expensive ones. After a while, Luo Feng and the group followed the pathways within the sacred land and reached the majestic white tower. The entire tower was as tall as the sacred tablet tower. Its color, however, was all white, and it gave off a calming energy. As one got closer to it, his soul felt a calm like never before. Luo Feng and the others climbed the stairs and entered the huge door of the tower, arriving at the first level. This first level is the reception level. Elder Sai Fan Chi introduced. Your Majesty Luo Feng. A piercing sound resounded. A female Gold Horn race clansman dressed in dark green armor walked over. She gave Luo Feng the feeling of an absolute candle-like beauty. Due to their construct being completely different, their skin was very different from that of humans. The female clansman smiled. Your Majesty Luo Feng, I am Sai, the receptionist here at the Technique Tower. I've long since received the Doyen Palace's order. Hence, you can pick any one of the manuals from here, read through it and select it, and I will pass the real manual to you. I will give a full explanation to Your Majesty, giving you enough time to make your choice. After all, the number of manuals here are simply too huge, and there are a total of 999 levels in this tower, every level having millions of them. I'll be in your care, Miss Sai. Luo Feng said. Your Majesty Luo Feng, we'll be waiting here. There's no rush at all, pick wisely, as this is a rare chance. Elder Sai Fan Chi said. Luo Feng nodded. Let's go. Luo Feng looked at Sesai. I'll lead. Sesai walked beside Luo Feng and swiftly reached the second level. Luo Feng glanced and took a cold breath. The space within the second level was huge. Just its height alone was about 100 m tall, with the many racks of books separated and evenly spaced out. Even though they were placed neatly, the space was simply too huge, and each rack was 70-80 m tall, and each of them stored many books. The entire second level alone definitely had over 1 million manuals. So many on each level, and there are 999 levels. Luo Feng exclaimed, the number of manuals for just one race, it's absurd. Luo Feng gazed about. He discovered every manual had a price on them. Some of them had a price of 120 contribution points, some 388 points. Your Majesty Luo Feng. Sesai explained beside him. The 999 levels of manuals are separated according to their points. The first level's most expensive book only requires 612 contribution points. The second foot level's cheapest requires 612 points. It gets more expensive as we go up. How expensive is the 999th level? Luo Feng asked. The cheapest book on the 999th level requires about 98 million contribution points, and the most expensive requires about 1.6 billion points. Sesai said, of course, Your Majesty Luo Feng can pick any one of them. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.